David Barry, Jewish Online Magazine. Our very special guest today is Edmond Rosen, and he is the Regional Development Manager of JVN.
Jewish Volunteering Network. That's correct, David.
Thank you, Edmond.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for joining Jewish Online Magazine.
Pleasure.
Jewish Volunteering Network. How long has it been established for?
It's now probably been established for over about 4 years, 4.5 years possibly. A lady by the name of Judy Citron started it based on research that was done by Jewish policy research, who indicated through their investigation into the total community, one of the things that was missing was where people need to able to go to find out volunteering opportunities, where they existed, not from the normal large organisations, but perhaps some others. How do you actually get involved in volunteering? And Judy picked this concept up. In its early stages. She was at the point of retiring. She herself had tried to find out where the best place was to volunteer, how she could volunteer, with whom she could volunteer, and found doors actually closed. There wasn't this information out in the general public. So,
one of the missions of JVN is to be an advice agency.
Very much we're a shidduch making agency.
Okay, I like that one. Very good. Yeah. Okay.
We don't necessarily create the marriage, but the shidduch we definitely do. And
so you put the good cause and the potential volunteer together.
You've got it in one. You've got it in one. That's exactly what we do through the use of the website www.jvn.org.uk. We actually link people. Those people that are looking for opportunities with organisations that have posted their volunteering opportunities on the website itself. So you go there and you register as a volunteer, you look at the search engine, you put in your qualities, your abilities, your information on there, and look at what specifically you might want to do, whether it could be fundraising or whether it could be governorship or a trustee of an organisation, or volunteering to help and befriend other people, whatever it may be, your particular skill. You put that into the search engine, you look at the area of the country in which you want to work, and you click the search engine, and hopefully a large number of opportunities come your way, and you then are able to contact the organisations as listed.
So there is a need for a organisation like JVN, whereby Jewish volunteers can find organisations that want and need them.
That's correct. Many people are looking for the volunteer. I mean, we've seen an increase in volunteering. People need to know where to start, and they use our site to make that first connection possibly. The larger organisations may not need us, although they still work very closely with us because we do provide information for them. But nevertheless, there are over 2,000 Jewish charities in the UK.
2,000?
2,000.
Wow.
For a population of probably, 270,000, 280, maybe 330 is at maximum. So you can imagine there's probably one organisation for about 4 people. So it's an amazing situation.
And how many Jewish volunteers are registered with JVN?
Well, we have over, and it's now growing, continues to grow on a daily basis. There's certainly over 2,500, 3,000 people that have volunteered on the site, and there's over now 250 organisations that have listed their opportunities on the site. Because volunteering is the glue that keeps the community together, and that's our whole purpose of attempting to keep the community together and keep the volunteering concept and philosophy alive and well.
What is a typical Jewish volunteer?
Oh dear. I don't think there is one, to be perfectly honest with you. It ranges from young people that participate in our Yoni Jesner Awards, from 11 to 14 during school, through the Duke of Edmonds Awards, through the student developments that are taking place in volunteering, all the way through to young professionals who want to give their time back, through people that want to return to the workplace after after their children have grown up, right the way through to the retireds and people that still continue to call themselves volunteers and work in sort of day centres and day facilities, etc. So it varies. I don't think there is actually a typical volunteer,
Okay.
certainly not anymore.
Why do people want to volunteer?
Host of reasons for that. Some people literally with time on their hands. Many people want to give something back. Many people want to re-enter, as I said, into the workforce again. It's a way of doing that. Young people, particularly doing things for the community. Students in particular, or those that have graduated, possibly that they find it difficult to find employment in the normal situation. Can you get experience? Where can you get experience from? Well, we can provide them through internships or volunteers, so that they can do that. People that want to meet people want to make friends, social reasons for people to come to become a volunteer. Hosts of different reasons why people take up that opportunity, take up that challenge, etc. Most people want to put something back into the community. I firmly believe that.
Has there been a steady increase of volunteers over the last decade, would you say?
I think it certainly varies. I think as society changes, volunteering changes. I mean, people used to have perhaps more time decades ago than they have now. Everybody's very busy these days. People are out working families. So I think the situation has definitely varied. The issue I think today is that the government's big societies put volunteering firmly back on the agenda. I think people always have volunteered, and I don't think the big society was anything new, but it was a concept, and it certainly enhanced the role or the issue of volunteering, and we've been there in the forefront of promoting that through the communities. Is
JVN, Jewish Volunteering Network, is that a charity itself?
It is a charity itself. Oh yes. It initially sought and gained charitable funding and receives funds from major Jewish charities that support the work that we do.
So JVN also needs volunteers, I suppose.
We do, we do, and we have talked about it ourselves to create our own pool of volunteers. But we as JVN don't do projects specifically requiring volunteers. Our main aim, as I said, is to act as that agent and we support organisations in their volunteering work. So we bring people together. The network part of JVN is a very important aspect of the work. We bring together those people, those managers of volunteers, those coordinators of volunteers. We bring them together to talk about the issues that affect them, the retention, the recruitment, the training, how you thank people, how you work alongside volunteers. Every volunteer is different, they need their own requirements. We talk in terms of volunteers, and we talk about the fact that the volunteers are non-paid, but it costs money to run organisations. Volunteers, whilst they save the organisation's money, they themselves require support, they require management, they require all sorts of needs, coordination. People need to inform them of what their rotas are, their duties are, etc. And that costs money as well. So we should never forget that volunteering is certainly something that needs support, it needs capacity, and that needs resources. And in this day and age, that has become much more difficult. Where do you raise funds from? How do you get funds in to maintain the necessary work that you do? And of course, the fact is that you don't need a large amount of money to develop volunteering, but what you need is that capacity to support them. Otherwise, if that goes, then we get ourselves into real difficulty as a community, as a society. And so the volunteering isn't necessarily cheap. It certainly needs much more resources than are presently made available to them.
Is there a difference between a volunteer and an employed person working for a charity?
Volunteers and paid employees should be treated exactly the same.
Right.
The only difference really is that one gets paid and one doesn't.
Right.
But nevertheless, as an organisation, if you want to get the best out of anybody, whether it's paid or not, you need to treat them properly.
What do you think keeps a volunteer motivated to continue being a volunteer? Because initially they might be very excited for whatever reason to volunteer to help a good cause, but what do you think helps to keep them motivated to continue?
Feedback. I think it's called thank you.
Right. Yes.
Although many of them say that's not what they do it for.
Yes.
But that can come in different formats. It can come in seeing a person grow if you're looking after individuals. It can be seen as just recognition of the work they do in some format. That's obviously not financial, but it's a form of saying to them, you as an individual have done something good today. You've made a difference in somebody's life. You've done something different, and therefore you've given back. And therefore, I think that's a good feeling. It's a good Jewish feeling, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the 4 years that JVN has been operating, what's been the best achievement so far, would you say?
Fantastic evening of volunteering awards about 18 months ago. It was, if you like, the Oscars of volunteers, and those people who had done some wonderful things across the board in very many different aspects within the community were recognised for their achievements.
When I attended the community fun run recently,
great event.
Yeah, a number of runners that I interviewed were running for the inverted commas, the smaller charities, because they said the bigger ones, the famous ones, the Jewish Cares of this world, they don't need the exposure as the small charities. Would you agree with that statement?
Oh, intrinsically, yes, I would agree about exposure. Certainly Jewish Care and Norwood do a most incredible job, and without volunteers they couldn't provide the resort facilities that they do. So but yes, the smaller organisations do need, because they're also doing a fantastic job keeping the community together and in enhancing people's lives. So yes, the Maccabi Fun Run was a fantastic example of the community coming together. Chief Rabbi was there, the ambassador was running. I mean, it was a marvellous opportunity for people to portray, illustrate and put up their stalls, and also for people to run for fun. And to enjoy the event, enjoy the occasion. It was very cold, but so they enjoyed it. I think we enjoyed being together.
How do you see JVN evolving within the next few years?
It's a good question. It certainly needs to build upon the foundations that it's created. We certainly are looking into internships and developments. We are looking very much into the corporate side of businesses volunteering, working with their employers to give back their time into the community. We're looking obviously to increase the development work that we are doing, and to, if you like, build the capacity that we need. We work very closely within Barnet, for example, because that's where the majority of Jewish people are living at present. Also other areas, but certainly within Barnet, the major organisations exist, and we need to link much more closely with the local authorities and various bodies to gain the benefit of being part of an integrated society, so that the Jewish people have a voice to play and need to voice their concerns.
You preempted one of my a question I was just about to answer, actually, Edmond. JVN working with non-Jewish agencies.
We work very, very closely in terms of interfaith work that we do across the faiths. Specifically, we work alongside Mitzvah Day, the specific one day of the year work, but we work 365 days across the year, working with all sorts of faith bodies, faith organisations, faith networks to develop the Jewish role within those organisations and have a voice as well. So it's very much work. Also, with many non-Jewish charities actually take Jewish volunteers as well. So we link in with them. We link in with Volunteer in England. JVN is the Jewish voice, is the Jewish partner of Volunteering England. So we sit very comfortably in work that they do. We link in with governments, local authorities. So we're very much involved, and that work needs to be built upon and developing, etc. So
if people that are watching this Jewish online magazine video,
shalom to you all,
and they are thinking about being a volunteer, what's your message to them?
Well, first of all, go to the go to jvn.org.uk, our website, and register your intention as a volunteer, and go there. And if you have any problems, give us a call, and we will help you and try and match you and connect you to your volunteering opportunity.
With the London 2012 Olympic Games coming up, are you looking forward to the Games, Edmond?
Oh, greatly looking forward to it. I mean, as an ex-Loughborough PE student and a sports teacher, my excitement rose when, of course, London was announced as the Olympic Games venue, and it will be a chance in a lifetime to actually experience the great things that come out of an Olympic event. So I'm hugely excited that London's got the achievement.
Is JVN having any association with the Olympics?
We have actually. We are part of the Jewish Committee for the London Games, which is a committee that starts with the Board of Deputies, Jewish Leadership Council, Maccabi, UJIA, Israeli Embassy, and Lord Janus Office, and other bodies, students, etc. And we have come together to.
What's the mission, Edmond?
I think the mission is to have the Jewish impact in the games itself, and therefore there are chaplains to the games, and Lubavitch are involved in.
Why do you think that's important?
Well, it's important because we're part of society. There are Jewish sports personalities that have done some great things. Ben Hafkot is a wonderful example of a person that's come from Hungary and represented Great Britain and Judaism at the Olympic Games. And of course, unfortunately, the Munich 11, the fact that 11 members of the Israeli team were massacred in Munich 40 years ago. We need to commemorate and remember that unfortunate event, and we need to tell the world what happened at the Olympic Games to Jewish Israeli athletes. And we have to, we've organised an event at the Guildhall, a major event that will take place, and local communities around the country can actually commemorate that event as well. So, as always in Judaism, there's some high points and there's some tragedies as well. And I think as Jews, we are part of that, and we have things to contribute.
So, if Jewish and or Israeli tourists are coming over for the London 2012 games. Is there a site
there is
that
indeed.
they can visit?
Thank you very much for that prompt. Please visit www.visitjewishlondon.com, and the site is a very good user-friendly site linked to the games. It gives you information about London in particular, a history of the United Kingdom Jewish community, the venues outside of London, in Manchester, in Coventry, in Glasgow, and in Cardiff, Newcastle, and of course Weymouth, where there's going to be sailing down in, close to Bournemouth. It lists synagogues, it lists restaurants, it lists all the cultural centres, the museums, the exhibition centres, and people. The cultural side of it is doing some fantastic work. Jewish restaurants are on there, delicatessens, all sorts of things that the visitor might be able to need, hotels and lodgings and places to rent.
It sounds an amazing site, Esmond.
We are very, very excited about the site. We've had over 7,000 hits since it was put up in January. It's growing. People have built it.
So this was set up originally for the 2012 games?
It was definitely set up through volunteers working with the JVN, who have fantastically built this site with us. We got a small amount of money from the Jewish Committee of London Games to put the site up, and we worked with a designer, and I think the site looks good. Go visit it yourself to see, and we're building that site as we speak. And people from we have had people from Indonesia that's looking at us, but certainly from America, from Israel, from Australia, from around the Jewish world, and we're linked into the Jewish world so that people can have that. And that was based on experiences for the Football World Cup from South Africa, where we've been interviewed on Radio Johannesburg, and from, of course, Sydney, from Australia. So we did some research previously about situations. Beijing was slightly different as a community, but we know that there was some Jewish input there. But certainly from the website perspective, and we wanted this. We wanted the site to be a legacy of the games afterwards as well.
So what's the plan for after the games then?
Well, the plan is to certainly maintain the site in some format. There are talks and discussions that are ongoing at present about how this should be developed, what's its best way, because it's certainly become successful, and it's become a one-stop shop for the games itself. But we think actually there's some major achievements that can be put together for London and in fact for the UK, for the Jewish community. So we're very excited about prospects. London's
going to be an amazing place during the Olympic and Paralympic Games. 7 million visitors expected.
No, I think that's fantastic. I know there's some people that want to leave the games. It's pretty busy and different situations, but what a wonderful thing that is going to happen to our capital city. Paralympics as well. I don't think we should forget that Ludwig Guttmann actually was again another refugee from Germany, who's actually single-handedly developed the Paralympics through Stoke Mandeville Hospital. He ensured that sports people can actually do positive things despite their disability. And the Paralympics, again, from a Jewish perspective, the Israeli team, who are primarily unfortunately made up of those that have been injured during the war, as opposed to may have been born with a disability or had an accident. These have stories to tell, and the team should be supported. Wouldn't it be wonderful if the opening day, of their games, we all were out there waving proudly the Israeli flag.
Visit Jewish London is a great concept.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Really,
I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, so it was created originally to prepare the international Jewish world for the 2012 Olympic Games, and please God it will carry on after the Games.
Thank you very much. Please God it will, and that was the intention from the start, that it wouldn't just stop with the ending of the Games.
Edmond Rosen, Regional Development Manager of JVN, Jewish Volunteering Network. Thank you for joining Jewish Online Magazine.
David, it was a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you.
not